Hello friends, in this video we're going to look at this vintage speaker. This is Rola. Sorry dude. Hello friends, in this video we're going to look at this vintage speaker that I found. This is a Rola speaker, which was one of the major speaker manufacturers of old. It says 2500 ohms here, and I've inspected this enough to know that it's an electrodynamic speaker, which means instead of having a permanent magnet, it has an electromagnet where you would now find a permanent magnet. These were common in the old tube radio days. So we know this is a tube-based speaker for a couple of things. One, the age of it, and secondly, the fact that it contains a built-in transformer. Tube amplifiers always need a transformer on the output to drive the speaker, because they're basically high voltage, low impedance outputs without the transformer. Here we see the front of it. There's this wooden faceplate of whatever it came out of. Looks like some sort of wood that had a veneer on it. It's got these tacks and little bits of what was once speaker cloth. This is the only section that's identifiable. It's kind of a golden black coloring. Got a puncture here in the diaphragm. We all know how painful that can be. We've also got this stylish gizmo that may be mechanical support for the diaphragm. Not sure. Got some cobwebs, of course. Now the internet research I've done suggests that this is a model K8. I found a picture of one that was identified as K8 from Australia that looked exactly like this, but there isn't much of anything else besides just that one picture on this model, so this is probably on the rare side. We're going to take some measurements on it to get an idea of whether it may work, and if it shows some signs of life, we can try hooking it up to something and listening to it. So based on what I've already found about this, these two outer contacts, this one is broken off but still soldered onto the piece that it broke off of, are for the field coil. The other two contacts, this one and this one, which is also broken off, are for the transformer input. So the transformer has output wires that can be seen down inside there. So I'm going to measure the resistance of these different things to get an idea of what we're up against here. First I'm going to measure the field coil. It's got very close to 2500 ohms. If I press on this firmly, it's got a lot of dirt on it. 2497. So that's a very good sign. I'm going to measure this input transformer. We get about 113K. Seems a little high, but I don't have any idea what it should be. Now we can reach these on the bottom. So it's reading about 0.3 ohms. Essentially that's a dead short. Let's short the leads together and see what we get. 0.1. So that's not good. Now there's two things that could be happening, or both, which is we could have a short on the voice coil of the speaker itself, or we could have a short on the transformer. I don't think the transformer is really of that much interest to a collector. You know, they'd probably prefer it be original, but I think for someone who's going to buy this, they'd be happy enough just to get the speaker for the fact that this is a pretty rare item. So if the transformer is shorted, I don't think that's as big of an issue. A collector could probably replace that pretty easily. As you can see, it has a lot of problems anyway. I don't know if they're that concerned about the authenticity of the transformer, but if the speaker is shorted, the voice coil inside the speaker, that's a pretty big concern. Probably someone would have to be pretty dedicated to want to rebuild the speaker itself. So next I'm going to take off the transformer, which will allow me to measure the output of the transformer and the input of the voice coil separately. So this whole thing is pretty fragile, and I'm going to unsolder the transformer before I unscrew it so that we don't have a big disaster. I propped it up on a 2x4 just so you and I can both see it. Actually, I just realized I don't have to take the transformer all the way off. I can just take one wire off. So using these two terminals below, this one still connects to one side of the transformer, so that it doesn't have any electrical effect having the transformer on it. This other side, I've pulled the transformer out of it already. Okay, that's a very good sign. We're seeing 1.6 ohms, which may be a reasonable range for this speaker. So with that in mind, I'm going to go ahead and finish taking the transformer off with the assumption that the transformer is bad. And when I resell this, I can resell it along with the transformer, but with the note that it's bad. Technique isn't too delicate, but never been that great at soldering. Let's take these screws out of the transformer, which may give us some more working room. It's amazing how a screw will lock in after 70 or 80 or 90 years. So the little tear on the diaphragm, I'm thinking is something that a speaker enthusiast could live with. That can be, glued up or something in some way to make it viable. So really the problem with those tears is that it can cause a rattling. We should be, oh okay, I already got the one wire out. So here's the transformer, such as it is. You can see the back side of that. And the out, so these are the inputs, this is the outputs. So let's check our ohms again to see if I've made anything worse. We're expecting very close to 2500 here. Okay, that's good. We're expecting a little under 2 here. 1.8, okay, that's good also. So I'm probably in a position to activate this speaker for the first time in many years. Now we can probably assume that somebody took it out of service originally because it didn't work. And the fact that it was cut out and kind of preserved, who knows what that meant. Maybe somebody thought it could be reused or had some value. This was actually found in my parents' attic when my mom passed away and we were cleaning things out. So I have no idea what the history of it is, how it got there, what it came off of, or anything. All we can go by is just what we see here. So now I can check the transformer in isolation, which I don't think will be any different, but we'll look at these inputs again. So that should read some sort of resistance like before, I'm getting 110 here, so that's expected. Here I'm guessing we'll see a short, which okay, 0.6 or 0.5, something like that, basically a short. So what we can reasonably assume here is that this transformer somehow got overheated or otherwise deteriorated with age or whatever, and you know, made somebody take out the entire speaker assembly. With this type of tube amplifier speakers, the transformer was very often captive on the speaker itself, so it's kind of might have been reasonable to take this out as a unit and replace it as a unit. Who knows? But for my purposes, that's good news, because that means that the important part here is in usable shape, you know, noting its problems of wear and tear and the dust and so on. We have a much better chance of replacing this. So we would keep all these things together for sale purposes. I'd sell this together, probably, unless somebody really wanted to rewind this transformer. The logical thing to do would be to reuse the mounting and put on some newer transformer. I guess it depends on how authentic an enthusiast might want to be. But since the sound is really due to the speaker, if they wanted to get some sort of authentic vintage sound, this is enough to do it. Now I'm going to try out the field coil. I've got this lab power supply set up with the voltage and amps turned all the way down and it turned off. Got a multimeter set up as an ammeter wired in series with this, so we can read the number of amps that it is drawing. Now, a little research that I've done indicates that these things would be run in the tens of milliamps range, so we may not be able to get that high with this 30 volt power supply, but we'll see what we get. So we're in current limiting right now, even with 0 volts, because I had that turned all the way down. Looks like I've got this wired backwards for the meter, so this is 1 milliamp. Let's go down in current limiting to make that go off. I'll just go up this way in voltage. Oh, this is the amp setting. Still haven't gotten good at this power supply. Okay, 3 milliamps. Five, 10, this is showing, so I've turned the current limit down so it's in current limit now. We can go up higher here to 12 milliamps. I'm just checking for heat here. I don't think we need to be concerned about that with these levels, but it's just a thing to check. Okay, we can go so I'm at the limit of what this 30 volt supply can do. I've got about 12 milliamps. So I think that means that I'm good to go as far as the field coil voltage with this setup. May not be ideal, but it's enough to at least test the speaker. So now I'm going to turn the current limit down to the point where the voltage drops. Okay, we go into current limiting. So that means if anything goes haywire, going up just a little bit, if anything goes haywire, our current limiting will kick in here. So I can take this out of the unit, hoping to be showing 0.01 amps here, but it may not be that accurate. So we'll live with that. For your listening pleasure, we have Royal Mountain Breakdown by the Mini Vandals. This is a little speaker that I took out of a tape recorder that's going to appear in a future video. I'm just using it as a reference to make sure that something's coming out of my amplifier and the rest of my setup. So we'll pause that and turn our volume all the way down and make a connection to the other speaker. Okay, before we have the big reveal, I'll show you what I've got here. I put this 8 ohm power resistor in series just to kind of make sure that I don't smoke the voice coil in the Rola speaker. I've got my music hooked up as before, but on pause. I'm going to turn on the field coil with our almost 30 volts we had before. Got my volume turned down all the way on the stereo. Hit play there. And this thing is about to talk for the first time in who knows how many years, at least 50 years. Whoops, my plug came off. Okay, you'll have to listen from the back. Turn it up a little higher. It works! So that ends our evaluation of this vintage Rola speaker, believed to be model K8. Everything seems to work on the speaker itself, aside from its known puncture hole. We found that the transformer is bad in some way, but since I don't have a purpose for this myself, it'll go on eBay, and some lucky owner will be enjoying it in the future. So, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.